At least 4,000 Victorian public servants could begin to learn their fate today as the state's new Treasurer hands down her first budget. The estimated job cuts come as Jaclyn Symes assures Victorians there'd be no new taxes, despite confirming a fire levy increase only last week. Well, joining me is former Labor Senator Stephen Conroy. Stephen, it's good to see you. Thank you for coming on the program. Look, Victorian Treasurer Jaclyn Symes will hand down her budget today, and it has been confirmed as part of that in cost-saving measures, the Labor state government will axe thousands of public servants. That's despite federal Labor campaigning hard against Peter Dutton and the Liberals' pledge to cut Canberra public servants. Does that sit right for you? Why is it okay on a state level but not on the federal level?
Well, look, the Victorian budget and the federal budget are in very different places. Jim Chalmers has been able to run two budget surpluses out of the last three budgets, whereas the Victorian government has had a commitment to huge infrastructure projects, and they've had a much looser budgetary situation. But from the sound of it and what's been leaked so far, they're making some hard decisions to bring the budget back towards a surplus. So I think Victoria's got a bigger problem with its credit rating. And so I think they've got to make some really hard decisions, and from the sound of it, they're going to do that. But it's very different when you've run two surpluses versus a long string of deficits.
So you think cutting public servants in Victoria for budget repair is the way to go?
No, look, I can't really speculate on what's actually in the budget. I've seen speculation around that. But the government clearly, if that was to be the case, are making very tough decisions to try and get the budget back into balance.
Sure. We know Japan and the EU have been vying for a $10 billion deal to supply the Australian Navy with warships. Japan has been the front runner, but now there's a potential sweetener by the EU, a Defence and Security Pact. Do you think that there's an advantage to go with the EU now for this warship deal?
Look, I should declare I represent one of those two companies in this bidding race, but no question the German bid is improved with the EU negotiations around trade and defence pact. I mean, it's a worthy thing to see that the European allies are prepared to talk to us, given how unreliable Donald Trump has become. So I think that's a good thing overall. And if there's a benefit to the German vessel versus the Japanese vessel, who we also have an extremely good relationship with, and we've got the Quad, which includes Japan. So it'll be an interesting decision that comes out by the end of the year.
And do you think that that's the motivation from the EU to approach Australia in this way because of the Trump administration?
Oh, look, no question. I mean, Trump has effectively sent the message to Europe that Article 5, which is the most important part of it, which says if NATO are attacked, NATO partners and the US will come to their aid. I don't think there's any government in Europe that believes that anymore. So Europe have to reach out, build other alliances, and you just got to watch this pantomime with Trump pretending he can control Putin. I mean, he said he'd fix Ukraine on day one. We're now a long way past day one, and he's being played like a fiddle by Putin.
Stephen Conroy, I appreciate you coming on the program. Thanks as always.
Good to talk.
Yeah, good to talk. Thank you.